Okay, at 8:01 p.m., we're going to call to order the Milton Board of Appeals this Tuesday evening, July 16th. And the first case on the docket was a 7:30 case, and is being started late. And it is the the board members are, I am Ted Daber, acting chair. On my left is Therese Kionis, and on my right is Nicholas Gray. And the first case is on the application of John and Carly Cherry, dated May 3rd, 2019, with respect to the property at 470 Elliott Street in Milton. The applicants propose to build two shed dormers in an 8-foot by 16-foot open deck with an egress stair, and to then create a temporary apartment on and within the existing detached garage at the rear of the property at 470 Elliott Street, which is in a Residence C zoning district. The existing home conforms to the terms of the zoning bylaws with respect to use and dimension, and a detached garage originally existed on the property in a location that conformed to the bylaw with respect to dimensional setbacks. It was demolished in 2001 and reconstructed at a distance of 4 feet from the rear lot line by virtue of a variance granted by the Board of Appeals in case number 1871. The plot plan shows that the proposed dormer on the back side would be built at a distance of 6.5 feet from the rear property line, and section 6.D.2, the rear yard setback section of the ordinance, requires that two-story accessory structures be set back a minimum of 30 feet from the rear property lines. So this would require a variance from that provision of the zoning bylaw. And since the architectural plans show that by the addition of the dormers, this accessory structure becomes 2 stories in height, and with the new second floor space, the temporary apartment would be created. With respect to the proposed temporary apartment, the zoning bylaw allows for the creation within a detached single-family home upon the issuance of a special permit by the Board of Appeals for a period of 4 years and subject to all applicable conditions in section 3.A.9, parts A through L, inclusive. And part F specifically prohibits a temporary apartment in any building not within or attached to the main home. Also, should the proposed application be approved, the plan would need to be altered to include a second means of egress from the dwelling within the building. The Board of Appeal file includes this legal notice from which I just read. There is an application dated May 3rd, 2019, denial letter that is dated February 27, 2019. There is a site plan prepared by Canavaro Consulting that I do not see a date on. Proposed floor plans in one sheet, and proposed exterior elevations in another sheet. A set of photographs of the existing garage in 5 sheets, and an additional, additional copies of the site plan, abutters reports, a notice from Mr. Prondak dated June 20, 2019, a supplemental information memorandum dated July 16, 2019, and a letter from Max Diggs and Stephanie Harrison Diggs of 454 Elliott Street in Milton, dated January 28, 2019, stating, we live at 454 Elliott Street and abut the Cherry family at 470 Elliott Street. The Cherrys have shown us their plan to renovate their garage to better accommodate their family so Carly's parents can stay for intermittent periods of time. I fully approve of the improvements seen from the street and consider this an upgrade to the garage structure itself. We see no detrimental ramifications from this project. I hope the board will see fit to approve these renovations. There is also on file with the board a more recent set of plans showing some revisions to the original plans that were, it looked like handwritten in red on the plans. And that is the file. And is it Ms. Cherry?
Yep.
Okay, is here, and
I'm Heidi Condon of HC Design. We did the architectural design.
okay, would you like to come forward and make your presentation? I forgot to also mention that this case was continued from June 20th, when it was originally scheduled.
Good evening. As I said, I'm Heidi Condon of HC Design. To give a little more history, the Cherrys purchased the home in 2003. They now have two very small children.
2013.
2013, thank you. Two small children, 4 months and 15 months, and it's a 3-bedroom home. So right now, both parents work full-time. They have no guest space. And Carly's parents really want to be part of their grandchildren's lives, and the whole impetus of this was to have a third generation be able to intermittently visit and care for their grandchildren. And so it's kind of an old-fashioned premise. And, you know, it didn't make sense to renovate the house. There is heated living space over the garage currently, and there are skylights and windows up there. It's heated. And so that's how we got to proposing a temporary apartment. It's really a need for this family. It's a wonderful asset if the grandparents can come up and care for their grandchildren. And we thought the temporary apartment made sense because it's really the years that their children, you know, are growing and aren't in school full-time. And so we thought with that 4-year kind of period, with maybe one extension, it would be appropriate. And so that's how we got to this point. You can see the photos that I provided for the second floor. It goes down to 2-foot knee walls. It's a difficult space. It works fine for a gym, but that's why we proposed 2 shed dormers, so we could provide a temporary living space for Carly's parents. Per Mr. Prondak's request, we did add a second means of egress on the exterior, on the opposite side. And we also, the real reason for the deck was so that there would be stairs on the outside that would come up. We are proposing a screen wall, so the portion of the deck that faces the rear property and one of the neighbors, we thought we would screen that so everyone had more privacy. And that's really how this project came to be. I'm not sure if there's anything else the board would like to know or see a larger site plan.
Can you speak to some of the requirements, and do you have the requirements from the bylaw under?
So when I was going through the supplemental information, we did want to identify that the site plan shows the large driveway, and there is quantity of 4 cars that can easily park, so we have plenty of parking for 4 cars. The applicants are the Cherries, but it would be Carly's parents, Ray and Mary Jane Tacoma, who currently live in Annapolis, and Almirada, Florida, who would be using this small dwelling or apartment. It's not at all intended to be rented out or leased or anyone else. It's exclusively for family use. We also feel that it's in the rear of the property. Currently, the garage really does not speak to the architectural details of the main house. That was one reason adding the shed dormers. We felt it would make it more part of the property and more,
Cohesive.
yeah, inclusive of the main house. And so it's not detrimental to the neighborhood. There's heated living space there. And so we're just requesting to make it a better use for this family. There are no safety issues. We're actually improving the safety issue with having 2 egress staircases. And so we feel it's not detrimental to the neighborhood. Once the temporary apartment permit is no longer needed, we would repurpose the garage space back to the gym, which is what it's being used for now, as it was always heated living space. And if this special permit's granted annually, the homeowners understand that they would put in writing to Mr. Prondak, the use continues to be viable, and they would maintain that annually for the 4 years. And if they needed to have it extended, they would request a 4-year extension after the first one is about to expire.
Okay, just a couple preliminary questions. But by intermittent use, how?
I mean, they would never stay for more than a week for sure, and I would say every couple months, especially, they spend the winters in Florida, so they're really not anywhere near. So I would say it's pretty rare, but.
Is it once a month or every
I would
couple
say
months?
every couple months, 6 weeks to 2 months at the most.
Are they semi-retired?
They're completely retired.
Completely retired.
And what is the square footage of the space?
So we are proposing 571 square feet of finished living space.
And there would be a separate kitchen in the,
Yes, there's no oven, but we're requesting a refrigerator and a sink.
and do I understand correctly that the modified plans that were submitted, you're withdrawing with the breezeway?
The site plan we're withdrawing. When I discussed it with Mr. Prondak this afternoon, he said that would require an additional special or variance. So it was just one thing I had discussed with the assistant building inspector months ago. And so we've decided that we would like to rescind that as an option.
Okay, the modified site plan with
Yes.
the, okay, except for the
We did
the screen
modify,
or,
we added a screen at the top of the stairs.
right,
And the second means of egress, as Mr. Prondak asked for.
And the porch is smaller, right, in the new one?
It could be smaller.
was that on the first plan, the second egress, or the,
It was on the revised one after he denied the first permit, or first building permit. So I'm not sure which set you received as the ZBA.
well, there was a set that was just received, I was talking about the set that was just received within the last week or so.
Yeah, that one you can strike. We decided,
Entirely?
yes.
Okay, yeah. No, the second means of egress was on the earlier plan that
Yes.
you had at the would have had
Yes,
at the last
exactly.
hearing. Yeah, so you're going with the plans that?
Yes. So all I've added is the screen wall at the top of the deck.
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything else to say at this time?
No, we can answer any questions.
Ms. Kionis, do you have any questions too?
Was there an abutters position against, or was it just for?
I didn't see one against.
When the
It was
letters.
in the record.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to check. The record. There's something mentioned in your opening that I wasn't.
Unless I missed it. There's a lot of pages in this.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
the,
like- That's the one.
that's the support. Where is the fenced part, what did you call it? A screen wall? Who is that
If you look on the
facing?
site plan, it would be at the end of the deck, so it would be right here.
Okay.
And that's 8 foot 2 feet from the property line, the closest point.
And who is it, which neighbor is it screening from? That's
He's
you?
on Hinckley. Go behind us.
We're proposing a natural cedar screen that would weather, kind of blend, but give privacy to both sides.
I don't see any other letter.
I
from
don't
an
see any
abutter.
other, no.
Do you remember?
Oh,
any?
I'm thinking, maybe it was in the supplemental. Okay.
This is the letter from the abutter.
No, I know. I thought there was one in opposition.
There was not one in
No.
opposition.
Okay.
No.
I didn't remember it. Do you have any questions that you would like to?
Not at this moment. I would like to hear from the abutter that's here about
I've got a
the,
few.
Okay.
May I see Mr. Prodnak's letter, the denial letter?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't have that with me.
You can't be blamed. We appreciate you being here.
I just want to make sure I've got what's this?
That's a different letter.
That's a different letter.
From Mr. Prondak.
Okay. I just want to see what we're asking, make sure I'm clear in my head what we're asking for before I start asking
It's
questions.
one page of it, but it's not the whole thing.
Okay. So,
Let me find the rest of it.
This is the denial.
so it looks like we're asking for a variance on the dormers because they're too close to the rear property line, okay? So one thing that we need to talk about is that the dormers are supposed to be 30 feet from the rear property. Obviously, they're not going to be because the garage is only whatever it is, like 6.5 feet. Okay, so one thing that we need to vote on is the variance for the dormers.
Yes.
Okay, assuming we allow that, the second thing that we need to work on is the in-law apartment.
Yes.
Okay, now the in-law apartment, as you probably know, is in the bylaw in section 3A9, and it has a lot of very stringent requirements that the town meeting put into the bylaw. Okay, and I'm reminded, I always look at the thing, because whenever we get these cases, it's extremely detailed, all right?
Yes.
So it says in section 9, right, of 3A9, that the Board of Appeals shall not issue a special permit for a detached one-family dwelling with a temporary apartment except upon the following conditions, which shall be in writing and part of the special permit. So we have to make a finding whenever we do one of these things, that subparagraph A, B, all the way through to L, I mean, whatever it is, I think it was L, that every one of those is met. Okay, and I think we're talking about not meeting at least one of those, that we then have to, again, grant a variance to, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay, so what I want to do is just kind of go through each of these, because if we're going to approve it and we're going to write a decision, we've got a very restricted bylaw. It only allows us the authority to issue the permit on these very stringent conditions. Otherwise, we really don't have authority to issue it.
Sure.
Okay? So it's not that I'm trying to be a jerk, it's just that I want to make sure, that as long as everyone else, is in line with it, that we've met the requirements. So one of the requirements is the size of the unit. And I think my recollection is your size is fine,
I'm
at
below
500.
800 square
Okay.
feet, 571.
That's whatever it is. I don't remember what number it is, but I know that's one of them. Another one is who's living there, and it's obviously in-laws, and that's fine under B. Okay.
And excuse me
Yeah.
while you're on that, but you're both the owners of the property, right?
Yes.
You and your
Yes.
husband. Yeah.
That's exactly the next requirement, which
Okay,
is.
sorry, I thought
You're
that
right,
was the one
no,
after.
you got it. So it's like,
them well.
the main dwelling has to be, a certain family relationship, and the apartment has, I mean, it can be the owners are in the apartment and the elderly parents are in the house, or vice versa, it doesn't matter, but as long as you've got the right, so that's good, okay. Now, this is another one that I'm a little concerned about. This is subsection D of 3A, whatever the hell it is. Okay. It says that the design shall show that the temporary apartment will be created without exterior modifications to the dwelling except as may be required for safety. All right, so one of those things is the exterior modifications or the stairs that you're talking about. That's obviously a safety issue, and I think if I read the next sentence, that's fine. But we're modifying it for the dormers.
Yes.
That's an exterior modification. So if we're going to allow this, then we need to grant a variance to that subsection. Would you guys agree?
Correct.
It's not
Yes, I
within,
would.
it's not within we're making an exterior modification. I don't think the dormers are a safety, it makes it habitable, but is it a safety issue? Is it not a safety? It's not
It
like.
does provide egress windows for the bedroom. So
So we can talk about whether that's enough to hang our hat on
Yeah.
or not, because I don't want to create, issue a permit that somebody could then go to the court and easily overturn, and we all
Sure.
look like idiots. And you guys are, thought you got it and you don't. Okay, so we can talk about whether the dormers, maybe we can take more testimony on it if we have to, are safety or not. Okay. What else do I have in here?
may I ask one question about
yeah.
that? The front dormer is 32 feet from the property line, so would that not require a variance? So the dormer that faces the street, is it really just the rear dormer that is not in compliance?
It's whatever Mr. Prondak put in his letter, and I think it's probably the rear dormers that are 6.5 feet.
That's
from
what
the
I'm
property
thinking,
line.
yeah.
That's the issue. If it's 30 feet or more,
Yeah.
I think the requirement's 30, that's probably fine, so it's
Just for the record,
rear.
it's 8.2 feet.
Okay.
It was just,
Less than the requirement,
It's still
but,
less.
yeah, okay.
but I think it's only the rear dormer that requires a variance.
Okay. That's good to know.
What does that do to your argument about, though, that the dormer windows are going to provide additional egress? And if we have one that does it already, how does that help with the safety issue?
Worst case scenario, the front dormer also has egress windows in it, so it is also providing safety. Worst case scenarios, if I had to remove the rear dormer, I still have egress windows on the front.
Okay.
That's if we don't
I
grant
mean,
that variance.
Yes.
it might be that the dormer, it's only the rear dormer that is not 30 feet from the line. But, the letter does note that by adding the dormers, it makes it a second story. And, the second story is within, the 30 feet.
Yes.
So it creates a nonconformity that way, whether or not the first dormer is.
But
It's
that's
the
already
entire
there.
second story.
So
Well,
that
it's-
portion was granted a variance in 2000.
But without the dormers. The
Without the
dormers
dormer.
are in.
Yeah, so if I
an
That's-
don't-
They make it a second.
They make- yeah.
They make it a second story.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to.
So then we have the second story issue and the one dormer
Yeah.
as a variance.
I'm not sure that the second story is an issue, other than it's it's not a height problem.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
The only issue is the dormer's closeness, the rear dormer's closeness to the rear property line is
Okay.
within the 30 feet. I don't think it's one of those situations where it's more than 2.5 stories, and therefore we need to grant a height restriction. There's nothing in the letter about it being too high. Is that right? We're not worried about height. I think
No,
we're only worried about.
No, but but he points out that
Yep.
the rear yard section requires the two-story accessory structures
Yep.
be set back a minimum distance of 30 feet from
Right.
rear property lines.
So
And
it-
previously, it was not considered
Okay.
to be a two-story accessory
Got it.
structure.
Okay.
So I think that's,
It's,
Yeah.
that's
Technically,
why
it's-
yeah, it's, the section that it's infringing is the rear lot line section, right? That distance, not the fact that it's now too tall for the neighborhood, for the zoning.
no, right, it's not the
Right.
height, it's
Yeah,
it's
it's that
the it's the
it's-
distance, right.
Okay.
But it makes the whole thing the distance.
Got it,
Got
yeah,
it, okay.
So you talked, the next requirement in subsection E, whatever it's called, is parking, which you talked about. You've got adequate parking. You're not going to have more than 5 vehicles, right? I think you said 4. Sorry, I'm taking the time to go through this, but
No,
it's,
that's
I think it's,
was gonna
whenever
do-
we
I
get
was
it,
gonna
you
do
were
the
going to
same
do it, I
thing,
know,
yeah.
I know. Whenever we get these, we got to really check the boxes. Okay. Blah, blah. You talked about partially screening it from neighboring properties by plantings. That's fine. Okay, you've subsection F. Adequate size, yes, not more than 800 square feet. Okay, this is, now subsection F is the one that's mentioned, I think, in the legal notice, that is also an issue, which is that the fact, that in your case, okay, let me start with the bylaw requires that, says the following sentence: a temporary apartment shall be entirely contained within the existing dwelling, or on the second floor of an attached garage. I'm sorry, I don't know, is the garage is detached, right?
Detached.
So it's not within the existing dwelling, and it's not in a detached garage. So if we're going to allow this, we need to grant a variance for that requirement. Okay? Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Just doing this on the fly. Temporary apartment may not be located in the building which is not part of the dwelling or an attached garage. Hate that. I guess it means it requires a variance, because we can grant
But
variance.
we're detached, not attached.
Yeah, that's the problem. If it was attached, then you would only be, you wouldn't be running afoul of this requirement. Okay, the fact that it's separate,
So that's why I proposed in the supplement, can I do a covered breezeway? But Mr. Prondak felt then it was a new variance.
Well, there's two, it would
But would
alleviate.
that alleviate 2
Yeah.
of them? So
Right.
then, that's really why I want to discuss
Yeah.
it with all of you.
Okay.
Does it make it worth opening a new variance to delete 2?
Let's keep going on.
yeah,
and see
I'm
how-
just,
Let's
I'm just trying to make sure
divvy up
that,
the
since
variances.
I'm getting up to speed on it, I want to make sure that we're granting if we choose to do it, that we're granting all the relief that you need, and that everyone who's here understands exactly what we're deviating from from the bylaw if we decide to do it. Okay, you're not going to have any borders or largers in the principal dwelling, right? Okay, so we're good there. All right. So, okay, if we grant the special permit, it will terminate under a number of reasons. When you sell it, if somebody resides there that isn't the right family relationship, if you transfer the ownership so that you own less than 50%, which is probably not going to happen, you violate any terms of the special permit, which is not cured, and it expires in 4 years. So you're good there. Okay. You're not selling it. Okay, you've come up with a plan for how to reincorporate the thing, this temporary apartment into the dwelling after the parents are no longer using it. I think we will be seeing that.
Is that in the plans? Yeah.
I'm hoping it is. I think she was talking about
I
it.
put it in the supplement that it would go back to being a gym,
Okay.
which it is now.
I'm just reading the rest of these requirements really quickly to see if there's anything else that is triggering
Is
an
the
issue.
new stairway going to be enclosed?
No. Correct. The outside, they're
Right
both
now,
outside.
it's, they're both greater than 30 feet from the property line, so I wasn't sure if they still had to be enclosed. I have a screening.
Well, that's in D for relating to the temporary apartment. I don't think that has to do with the 30 feet.
I can relocate them. and
Any new stairway to the second or third floor shall be enclosed and be unobtrusively located on the rear of the dwelling, on the rear of the dwelling. Well, this isn't on the rear of the dwelling anyway. It's on an accessory structure, or it would be.
We were actually
Now,
trying
if
to
it was
keep,
attached, would that come into, if they put a breezeway and had it be an attached garage?
I don't think that makes it
Consider.
attached, if it's a long breezeway like that. I don't want to set that kind of precedent.
No.
I wouldn't think, I don't know what
Well,
you
I
guys
mean, it's
feel
not
about it.
before us anyway, so.
Right, well, that's true. It's
Yeah,
not
we
before us,
couldn't work with that.
Yeah.
All right. So can you talk to us about the need to expand to put the dormers in the back? Or
we
to make
should
an
have
exterior,
photographs. These
Yeah.
are additional ones. It's very awkward space now. There are multiple copies, so you can. It's just very awkward space now. There's only an egress window in the two ends. And we just wanted to make it more comfortable for her parents. It's really not
okay.
space that's comfortable.
Everything would have to be in the center, basically, because you can't stand up on the
So
sides.
is it safe to say that the addition of the extra dormers in the back would make it, the egress from it safer?
Yes.
Because there would be additional
There'll be egress
means
windows.
of way to get out. So that makes the dwelling more safer because it's got easier for the fire department, for example, to come up and be able to get to the
As do
windows.
the
It gets
two stairs.
able to get the occupants out of the apartment more quickly.
Yes.
Does it make it any easier for them not to hit their heads on the ceiling? I mean, I'm looking at the,
Well, yeah, you've got
space.
1 foot 10-inch walls,
Yeah.
which really, typically you don't want lower than 5 feet for that very reason, especially if it's an older couple.
yeah,
You know, I just want it to be a safe, comfortable space.
okay. All right. Okay, what was F? So F was so talk to us a little bit about why it's in the garage and not in the main house.
You should have photos of the main house. I think I included them. There's just no space in the main house, and they already own the space, and it would be more of a financial hardship for the family. These are two young family members who work full-time, and this is heated living space that exists.
Right.
And they really don't need the gym, so we just thought it was much more efficient. I may not have included of the main house.
Yeah,
But
you're right.
it's a stucco home. There's no other space in the home. There's
Okay.
no guest room. It's an old, beautiful home, you know, small rooms, classic. But,
Right, there's no room for an apartment, for example.
No,
Like,
and
if you needed, you would need another
we'd need to do
kitchen
an addition.
and all of that, yeah.
And it's economically prohibitive for this
Okay.
family.
All right. I don't think I have any more questions at this time.
Okay, so so under D, exterior modifications. So the new stairway would not be enclosed. It's not located, okay, that's under D.
I do have one question. Exactly what do they mean enclosed? Like heated and enclosed with a roof, or just screened for privacy? 'Cause that was actually,
The language says enclosed. To me, that means, you know, enclosed within,
within walls and
yeah,
a roof.
I would say so, yeah. That's what enclosed means to me. There's no definition of it in here, but,
Is there any
Enclosed
place
and
to put?
unobtrusively located on the rear
on
of
the
the
rear of the
dwelling.
dwelling, this isn't.
There is an existing enclosed staircase inside.
Dwelling shall, and that dwelling shall retain the
This
appearance
is,
of a
I think
single-family
that's
dwelling.
the idea,
Yeah.
right? Of why it would be enclosed.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, but when Mr. Prondak asked me to add a second means of egress, it really only made sense to put it on the exterior. Now,
Yeah.
we could maintain the existing interior, but it seems excessive if I have 2 interior staircases. If the second means of egress could be like a fire escape and be exterior, we could give it privacy.
This is the existing?
Yeah, it
Yes.
definitely doesn't
Stairway.
say that 2
Yes.
stairwells have to be enclosed.
It just says 1, correct?
That was my
It
understanding.
says, "Any new stairway to the second or third floor shall be enclosed."
But a second means of egress
Exactly, that's
doesn't
where I'm
necessarily have to be.
unclear. In the denial letter, it just says, please also be aware that should your proposal be approved by the zoning board, you would need to alter your plan to include a second means of egress from the dwelling unit within the building. So would that
Yeah.
require
In the
2
building.
interior staircases?
Well, I think that's what it says, yeah.
Yeah,
then that
Because it
sounds-
says it's got to retain the appearance of a
single-family
single-family
home,
dwelling.
yeah.
Yeah. The idea being that for the, there needs to be one for the apartment, and that's why he's saying that there would, okay. Do you have any other questions?
I'm just kind of going through all the variances that are needed now. So now the stairwell would be, we would include that in as a variance, but that's not before us today.
It is.
It is?
Well,
Okay.
there are 2 exterior stairwells currently.
But they're not enclosed per the, okay. So we would,
Well, I don't know whether it's, yeah. Well, it's a question whether it's before us, because it's,
because technically
the
we would have to
application is
give a
for
variance.
yeah. So have you spoken to any of the neighbors and abutters about about your plans?
So we have the letter from our neighbor, Max Diggs, who lives right next to us.
Okay.
And then a neighbor across the street at 461 Elliott Street, John Sullivan, came over the other week before the first hearing and discussed it with my husband a little bit. We don't have a letter from him, unfortunately, but he said once we explained that it was just for my parents to stay in every once in a while, he said he was totally fine with that as well.
He said he was
He
in
was
favor.
fine with it, in favor, yes.
Okay.
And they're across the street.
Yes.
And 454 is next to you. How about on the other side?
We did not talk to the people on the other side yet.
Is there anybody else besides those 2 that you spoke with?
No.
How about in back of you? Is there anybody in back?
Yes, so Mr. Strella is here. He did come to the first hearing with, we didn't get to have the hearing, but he did express some concerns for his privacy. And I did reach out to them to come over to the property and talk about it. They didn't respond, but we are certainly aware of their concerns.
Is that where the privacy fence comes in?
Yes, exactly. And I actually, I brought some pictures from the garage looking out because there are already skylights looking out on their property. So the back dormer would actually probably not change that viewpoint at all, I would imagine, since it's already so close.
So when you're standing upstairs, you have full visibility to the rear just through the skylights, but they're fixed, correct?
Yes.
They're fixed, so they don't meet egress code.
Yep.
You mean through these?
Yes.
Is that standing on the floor?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, sorry, I have one more.
And now this is used as what, an office and a home gym?
Yeah, really just a gym now.
Right, it's primarily the gym.
Okay. Any other?
I was just rereading Mr. Prodnak's letter, and he did not raise in his denial letter any issue with respect to the modification of the building for the dormers, right? Any of the dormers, including the rear dormers, which suggests to me that he is not, he's probably not raising an issue with respect to subsection D of the bylaw.
Okay.
Probably finding that the dormers are necessary for egress. It's a modification to the exterior of the building required for safety. So I'm comfortable with, even though I raised that when we were talking, that if he didn't raise it, and he's charged with enforcing the bylaw, and if he did not raise it as an issue for something that needed to have a variance, obviously it can only be because he believes it to be something that's required for safety, and so I'm comfortable with not. I don't know that we need to grant a variance for section D because it probably fits within the bylaw.
Okay.
Right? And plus, it wasn't published either.
Great, all right, so that takes care of that.
I think so. Yeah, I mean that's what I would say because he didn't raise it as an issue.
Okay,
He should have spotted it if it was if for example if the plans had said, you know, show the dormers, which they did, and if he had said that the dormers violate subsection D because they are an exterior modification of the building, and it wasn't required for safety, then he should have raised that in the denial letter. But he didn't, and so obviously it must be because it's required for safety in his view. So I'm comfortable with
maybe
not.
we can work that into our decision.
Yeah, we could mention.
And just mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about
I hear you, but I don't.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know
I mean,
that the fact that he doesn't mention it
Well,
means that we can ignore it if
Yeah,
we, you know.
I'm just,
you know.
he didn't raise it is all I'm saying.
Right.
Okay. Is there anything else you have at this time?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Nick or?
I don't have any more
I
questions.
don't have any
Right
more,
now?
no.
Okay, no other questions at this time?
I mean, one thing that I just wanted to clarify, what Mr. Prondak wrote at the bottom of his first page.
Right.
I mean, he did say that Section 2-A-9 use regulations allows for the creation of a temporary apartment within a detached single-family
Yeah.
home, which is different than a garage, I understand,
It's a misprint for
for a
3.
special permit.
That should be 3A2. It's a misprint.
Oh, it's a misprint, that's why I was confused.
I assume that's a
What
misprint.
2 was.
And where's,
At the very bottom, the last section, and that's where I just wasn't sure if that was a different
This.
section that we should be
No,
looking at.
I'm in, it's 3A9.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
within a detached, single-family home? That means
Yeah,
within a single-family
within a
home.
single, yeah. Which
So
we're
if it were,
not.
that's why he asked why, you know, it couldn't be put in the house.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
there is no 2A.
So it's really 3. That's where I just wasn't sure what that was.
No,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a 3, because there is no 2A9 in the
Okay.
bylaw. There is a 3A9.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think he just forgot it.
Just wasn't sure if I was missing something.
No, I think he's missing an extra I.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And is there anybody in the room that has any questions about the proposal? Okay. Yes, sir. Could you come up to the table near a microphone, please? And
And I've been running around crazy. I'm sorry if I didn't hear from you. It wasn't intentional, I assure you. Paul Storella, 36 Hinkley Road. We are the rear of Butters.
I'm sorry. First, could you please spell your last name?
Storella.
And 36 Hinckley?
Yep.
The rear. Okay.
All right. I do have a couple questions before I, oppose anything, right? You had mentioned before when we spoke outside, there was no way that you could get rid of the rear dormer because based on your conversation with the building manager, that's where you had to keep the easement windows.
It's where I have egress windows, yes, right now.
Okay, but you could in fact get rid of the rear dormer and put the egress windows on
I
the
could.
front.
I could keep the skylights, but it doesn't change your privacy.
Well, it does to a certain extent. Right now, the skylights are built on a 45-degree angle, so you take anything from 45 to 90, the visibility plane is going to increase, right? So you're going from looking at kind of the second floor of my house in the roof to directly into my yard and my family room.
Well, the picture, you can see everything, just standing there. They're quite large skylights now.
They are. So with people living there, you understand, even though it's only temporary, right? You
They would,
understand.
it being a bedroom, it would have shades, so I think it would be more private than that.
And they would not be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I guess, and a lot of it is they're gonna be in the house most of the time with the kids. It's just really for them to have a space to sleep and.
Gotcha. I get it. But I mean, from my perspective, it seems like it's building, even though it's not, it seems like it's infringing on the privacy, right? It does. So you're building a deck off one side, easement stairs off the other. They're actually even with the top of our fence, right? So you're kind of like peering into the yard. And I mean, our children are roughly the same age. We use the yard a ton, right? So it not only affects us on a day-to-day, we feel, but it could also affect resale value. Right?
And it's only egress, they're not spending time there, it's just to access the building. And we could eliminate one of them and use the interior stair. And then there's really just one additional stair, that's primarily safety issues.
Yeah, so the outside spiral staircase, it's on facing the garage on the left side.
One of them I could eliminate, I would have to eliminate that one, because that's where the egress stair is now, the interior stair.
Gotcha.
So I would
'Cause
need
the
to
other
keep
one
the
would
other
be- is
one.
actually probably more the issue for us, right? I mean, so my concerns with that. How is this going to impact my day-to-day, right? And how is it going to impact potential resale value in the buyer pool? Because going from 45 to 90 and building wider on top of the fence line, people could see that as an issue with privacy. I would, right? So I guess that those are my concerns. I mean, if this is something you could add those windows to the front, leave everything as is, and bring those staircases inside, go ahead. You know, that's awesome.
You'd prefer no dormer on the back?
Yeah, that's really the only thing that affects us, right? I mean, my stance is do whatever you want. I think, you know, you're increasing value, you're making your life better with your family, it's awesome. But if it's going to impact the same on my end, right, potentially negatively, then I guess there's a bit of an issue with it, right? And it seems like the town has bylaws in place for the same concerns, because those are the particular bylaws that you're going to have to seek a variance to, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not here to say you can or you can't. That's not my job, but it is my job to speak up.
So, well, let me, don't move for the time being. You just, okay, that was under questions. Is there anyone here who wants to speak in favor of the application? Nobody here is answering. Is there anybody here who wants to speak in opposition to the application?
I guess as is, it's more questions, how can we change it before I can oppose it or accept it, right? I don't want to oppose.
So as it is, you,
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Can I ask, while you're talking, can I ask a question? These are the interior shots with the dormers as, sorry, skylights as
Yes.
currently configured. And the dormers would be in the same location?
Same area, yes.
All right. So when we're looking at these two pictures, which is the side that faces
Where the skylights are.
this side? 'Cause
Yeah,
there's-
there are no skylights on the front of the building.
Okay.
They're only
They're
on
only
the
on the
rear of
back.
the building.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sense of the picture.
The one that's on the table now, you just can't see the second.
That's the back facing
Okay.
his house.
Yeah, so this is kind
got
of
it.
a property view from my end.
Oh, okay, that helps. Thank you
Can
very
you
much.
show me?
Yeah, so it's just, we're raised a
Okay.
little bit, so the fence line, the property line, it's right there.
So I think that brings us back to these dormers. I mean, I don't know if the letter didn't specify that needs even a variance, but if it does need a variance, why it can't be done with the one dormer versus the two for safety. The safety component of it can be accomplished with
Yeah.
the one dormer on the front of the house, and it wouldn't impact his privacy
Wouldn't at all.
issues more so than it is currently. I just think we're going to have to factor that in if that's one of the things that it have to be checked off for a variance.
Is whether there's any detriment to the neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's, the
Right, for a
standard for a
variance.
variance is different.
For a variance, right, or not? Sorry.
Standard is different, that's the special permit
Okay, sorry.
standard, but the variance standard is a different standard.
Okay.
But we're doing variances now in order to even get to a point where we can issue a special permit.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else, are you, sorry, Mr. Storella, do you have anything further in your,
No, that's it. I mean, I have really no problem with the project itself. It's just the potential impact it could have on us. And it's really that rear dormer and the side deck. If there's anything you can do with those two, no, I'd stand behind you.
okay, and anything that you, anything more that you want to say before we close the evidence, or is that a possibility?
So I'm still trying to determine where this fence thing, where the shade comes in on the deck.
Oh, the screen?
Because that's for his, that's to try to satisfy his issue, right?
It would,
Yes.
oh, sorry.
No, just so everybody can see it.
So if you see the red, sure. So this is the existing footprint.
Okay,
This is our deck here that we're proposing. Where I drew red
yep,
faces directly to the rear of the property. I was proposing the screen wall there, so there's privacy on both sides. I can also reduce that depth, which is one of the things I just showed on the other drawing, but I can pull that deck more into the property line, away from the rear property line as well, if that would be helpful.
okay.
But what I'm saying, right now I have 2 exterior staircases for egress. I could use the one that is interior if we could get a variance, reduce this deck and have the staircase and do the screening, then we have the second means of egress. And we provide a privacy screen to the rear of the property. So we could do that. If I cut in 2 staircases, there's nothing left. And so I think we could use the existing stair. So we have one that's inside. And then have this one, I could pull more into the property, still screened. So there's less deck, but that deck would still be outside, but I could screen it so it's really not visible from a public way. So it's kind of behind on the side.
Not visible from Mr.
From
Storella's.
his back property.
Could you enclose it? And that's a whole other list of questions that
Like
I don't need to know
landing,
about.
you mean, or-
Yeah. Like if that's completely enclosed,
If we-
to
if I was
kind
looking
of
like
conform
this,
with the side of the
On
building.
the top, so this is what the screen would be coming up,
We were thinking screen walls.
facing his property.
We were just trying to keep it simple. They're not spending time
So
there,
they're
it's just
basically-
access.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking just a landing, like
But-
they're gonna walk in the door there.
I mean, but the thing is, in a temporary apartment, I mean, they would be entitled, I mean, they're not limited to the time they could spend there. They could be living there
Yes.
permanently,
I
you
know.
know, I mean, and
That's the thing.
situation could change, so they could, so.
Yes.
He's got to look at it from that point of view, too, you
Sure.
know.
So I would just
Really
need
like your
to
kids.
explore, what that would look like
I don't
on the
think we want them
exterior of
there
the
that much.
house. So would you be amenable to enclosing the staircase?
Yeah, I guess so. It's hard to picture.
I'd have to
feel like-
redraw it and submit it to the board for review.
We'd be losing a lot of garage space for sure.
Well, it would be
Outside.
outside, so it would be an addition.
Gotcha, yeah. So like
doesn't have to be
that side
heated.
would be-
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I could mimic the roof, and it would just look like an extension.
Yeah,
Whether
I mean,
that
I
would
think
require
that's,
a new
okay.
application or no.
Uh,
It's different, I mean, because it's, it's already been published
Yeah,
one way.
maybe.
But would that
Thinking if
conform?
This is almost just not ready yet. I don't know. Sounds like you're close.
You're talking about enclosing the staircases? And-
I would
and-
eliminate one of them, use the
Right.
existing interior staircase that we were going to demolish
Mm-hmm.
for more space upstairs. I could keep that, and then we could enclose the second means of egress, and then then I don't need a variance for it. It's by right, I can build that.
And what about the dormer?
I don't know if that's
I
correct,
had a question
though.
about, I had an idea about the dormer.
Okay.
I'm like sitting, I have no idea if this would work. You need a dormer, you want privacy. Both, I understand both, given the shape of the room. What if the dormer, if the if the windows in the dormer were built with frosted glass or some kind of opaque glass that they couldn't see out of, so that you got your space, you got natural light in, but there's no way they can stare out the windows into your backyard. I'm not saying it's perfect, and you guys need to talk about it, but
Sure.
as I'm just sitting here, trying to find a way to make this tiny, small apartment more livable without messing up the back of because it is very close to your property line.
Yeah, it's really close.
Yeah, so, I mean, you guys think about it, but that's just one thing that pops into my head, or some other means to be able to have the space the dormer creates and some of the light that can come in without the visibility, the being able to peer into the backyard.
The other thing I could do is I could cut the window in half, remove the wall, so it's not a legal bedroom anymore, then I'm not required to have egress windows. So I could cut the windows in half, it would just be an awning window, I could still frost the glass, so then I'm significantly less visibility than those two skylights that are there now. And then that could be the sitting area, but I still get egress windows in the front dormer.
Right, and so that would
That's what I
take care
need
of
for
it.
safety.
For
I
safety,
need
right.
those egress windows. So I could, if you look at your rear elevation,
You need egress windows even with the two staircases?
unfortunately, because I enclosed that room. So on the rear, where I have the red, I could just do awning windows that do not meet egress. I could frost the glass and remove that wall, and then it's no longer a requirement to meet code because it's one big room, and the front dormer has the egress windows and will meet code. Because these guys here meet egress.
Okay.
If they meet egress, do you even have to put windows on the back?
Well, we want some natural light. We have no problem making it opaque, but I think it would look really odd if we had a dormer with no windows.
Yeah. And moving forward, say if we move forward with the opaque windows and the Cherry sold the property, are the future owners required to keep the windows opaque?
No, because the permit for if they sell the property, the permit terminates and the apartment has to go away.
So whoever buys it actually has to knock the dormers off?
They have to restore it they couldn't use it as living space anymore. The kitchen has to come out, and whatever else the building commissioner says needs to happen, needs to be reincorporated back into the building.
Because it's heated living space now.
Yeah, how is it enforceable?
The building inspector goes around and checks it. And it has to comply with the terms of the special permit that we grant, should we grant it. And it has to do that, and the entire permit is only good for no more than 4 years unless it's renewed, and it terminates at a bunch of conditions that are in there, one of which is selling the property. So that this thing doesn't run with the land, right? The next owner doesn't get the benefit of this permit without coming back to the Board of Appeals for a subsequent hearing.
So the building inspector will know when they don't renew the permit,
Yeah,
and then he'll know that it's no longer legal for anyone to
Right.
use it as an apartment.
right.
And the only people who can use it as an apartment
Are the people that are specified.
are the people specified. They're the only ones that can stay there, or
Right.
her parents.
Right.
Or
Can't-
would be, yes.
Can't make it an Airbnb and none of that. It's just, it has to be the specific family relationships, and actually the people who are named in the special permit are the only ones who can live there.
Right. So, I guess we have a choice. I guess it would still, if the plans were modified and something were worked out, we would still be talking about a variance in terms of the rear yard and a variance in terms of having a detached, having an
Subsection.
attached
Having an
building,
attached,
subsection
right.
F, and we'd still be talking about a special permit.
Correct.
So
To
maybe
be
it
allowed
wouldn't
the
have
whole
to
thing.
be advertised again.
I mean, right.
I mean, we have two choices. We could either, and it's up to you, we could either try to continue the hearing again to another date and see if you can work things out and get some revised plans, or we can vote on it now based upon the record and what we have and the evidence tonight. Right? That's
Yeah,
the,
I
yeah.
think so, yeah.
I think we'd rather continue and revise the plans and talk to the neighbor and make sure everybody's
Yeah.
comfortable.
Are we,
It would be safer.
right.
I think so.
Are we going to need another continuance of the, we should get it signed then? Is there any way we can get it signed tonight? Or do we need, we don't have the form here?
Do we
I
have
have it by
the,
continuance for 60 days.
for 60 days? Okay.
Currently.
Oh, from now?
Well,
Okay.
from,
Yeah, from the
June
last one.
20th.
Yeah, so that brings us to the August
I
6th.
just got it all signed off and just this week
Okay.
by the three attorneys. So, yeah, we're good. I mean, we're not gonna go past 60 days.
Well, it's 60 days from June 20th, though,
You in the Johnstone's house?
right?
Yeah.
Is
Would it be June 20th or would it be the day I
I'm at the other end of the
got
block.
it and
I'm at the
scanned
far
it
end of
to the
Hinckley.
post office?
Oh, maybe it
That's how
wasn't,
I
yeah,
understood
okay,
it.
okay.
It's an interesting house.
So let's try to find
It was
a
invalid at
a
first.
date that
That
we
was the
can,
problem.
Yep, got my phone out for that purpose.
and it's got to be, the three of us.
Yeah,
Right.
Aren't you glad you answered your phone tonight?
I had
Doing
literally
August or
just finished
September?
having dinner, and if I have to admit a cocktail, I'm sorry.
I'm glad you answered. I'm glad you answered.
I saw that, I said, oh, do I have a hearing tonight? I wouldn't have had the cocktail if I thought I had the hearing. I'm sorry.
Or you did much better with the cocktail.
Maybe I did, wasn't.
How much time do you need
what
to
do we-
talk and get any modified plans done?
You're going on vacation next week?
Yes,
Are
I'll be
you?
away next week.
It's not, it wouldn't be next week
Yeah.
anyway.
If we could have 3 weeks, that would be great,
It's today, so.
to make sure we can,
So you're
So,
away next week?
Yes.
yeah,
My schedule starts
Mid-August?
to calm down after that.
After that.
it will
Okay.
come down.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And then, yeah, we're here.
So we
until-
need 2 weeks just to even have that buys me time to make the revisions, and we can all sit down.
so,
The week of the 12th?
That's what I'm saying.
yeah. What am I doing that week?
Are you on vacation that week?
I don't know quite yet.
Yeah, I don't know quite yet either, but I'm, you know,
I'm going to be on
I'm around
vacation
that
at some
week.
point in August.
Okay, August
do it the week of the
19th.
19th.
Okay.
I've already got a
Monday.
hearing that night.
What's that?
I've got a hearing.
On the 19th?
I'll be away that week, actually.
Okay. The whole
about the-
week of the 19th? Okay.
How about the week of the 12th?
I will be here.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
Shoot.
Week of the 12th?
I'm here, not on Friday.
Why don't we just do
We don't have
We don't do hearings on Friday
I'm doing
anyway.
this on Friday.
Right now, I'm here that week. Yeah. So,
Let me,
13th? That's a Tuesday. We're meeting on a day. I mean, I'm just throwing dates out. I don't care. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that week. I mean, Monday's fine too. I'm just, the 12, 13, 14?
yeah, right now, I think I'm good on any of them.
Those are all fine for me.
13th's good.
13 is good?
Okay.
Okay, 13th.
7:30 for real this time?
Storella, that's okay for you?
Yes, it is.
13th, August 13th.
See, we can make that call right now.
Well, I'm just,
7:30.
7:30 is fine.
7:30 gives me more time to bicycle out of the city.
Okay.
Okay?
Since you brought it up, I was just opening it up.
You're dealing with lawyers. We want more time, not
I've
less.
just, if I don't have to, run the red, I'm not running red lights. Shh, don't say that. Never do that on a bike. Okay. So 7:30 on the 13th of August. For 470 Elliott.
Bev, when would I submit the revised plans to the board?
As soon as
Pri-
possible.
Prior?
As soon as you have them,
Okay,
yeah.
that's
yeah,
what I-
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
I can send it to them.
Okay,
They can
great.
review it.
I suppose we should ask if there's anyone else here who wants to talk about it.
Ted did.
We already.
You did?
I
You did?
yeah.
Okay, good, I'm sorry, I missed
I
that.
said questions.
Yeah.
You got it.
Favor and
Yeah,
opposed.
okay.
So,
Just
Okay.
worst case scenario.
first week of August? Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great idea.
Everybody all set?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank
As
you.
my phone does.
Can we keep
Thank you.
these
Sorry for the late
pictures
start.
for the file?
That would
Okay,
be helpful.
thank you.
Okay. Well, so maybe that.
So which one is this? This one? Okay.
Just two cases.
Okay.
Bye, thank you.
Have a good night.
That's fine. That was 470 Elliott. I don't know what that is. That was there. This goes with, that goes in that file.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So sorry about that.
The next case on the docket for tonight is the case of the application of Wayne Eddy and Megan Roberts Eddy, dated May 20, 2019, for a variance from the terms of Section 5A1 of the Milton bylaw. The applicants propose to build a 30-foot by 48-foot second-level addition to their home located at 99 Lyman Road. Section 5A1 limits new buildings and new portions of buildings to 2.5 stories. When the first floor elevation is more than 4 feet above average grade, on homes built in 1949 or later, the basement is considered a story, and a plot plan shows the existing average grade elevation surrounding the property to be 101.1 feet and the first floor elevation to be 106.9 feet, a difference of 5.8 feet, therefore creating a third story as defined under Section 5A1 of the bylaw. Property is in a Residence C zoning district, and the proposed addition would violate Section 5A1 of the zoning bylaw, requiring a variance. My name is Ted Daber. I am the acting chairman tonight of the hearing. On my right is board member Nicholas Gray, and on my left is board member Therese Keonis. And for the record, we have the application dated May 20, 2019, denial letter from Mr. Prondak dated March 7, 2019, plan of land of Lyman Road dated January 17, 2019, prepared by Hoyt Land Surveying, showing the proposed second floor addition and the existing house as well. Set of plans in 6, 7. Okay. 9 sheets.
Comprehensive,
Is that right? 9 sheets? Okay.
should be.
Showing elevations and floor plans of the existing floors and the proposed new story. We also have in the file some letters of support dated in various dates in June of 2019, containing,
So I just highlighted the address
Okay.
and the name, because it's kind of a continuance.
right.
So there's, yeah.
From the, I'm just going to read the addresses, because some of them I don't think I'll be able to read the names. From the property owners at 73 Lyman Road, 79 Lyman Road, 84 Lyman Road, 90 Lyman Road, 91 Lyman Road, 98 Lyman Road, 105 Lyman Road, 109, 110 Lyman Road, 115, 119 Lyman Road, 7 Rose Street, and we have, and all of these state that they support Wayne and Megan Eddy in their variance request to forego changing the grade of their property at 99 Lyman Road. And then there is a list of abutters, and that is everything in the file. And I presume you're Wayne and Megan Eddy.
That's correct.
Welcome to the Board of Appeals, and I apologize for the delay, and thank you for your patience.
Certainly.
So,
Okay.
floor is yours.
Excellent. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So as you stated, I was calling it VA1, but 5A1, that the ruling is we need 4 feet, under 4 feet, to not have our first floor be considered a story and therefore make our house 3 stories. So after discussions with my contractor and the building inspector, if we raise grade to get within that 4 feet, it's certainly doable and we'll have a permit. We've talked to all of our neighbors about it. They prefer us not to do that. They actually, I have a picture of the home here. It's already sitting on a slight hill. Adding another 2 feet of grade would get us there. And then we'd have to build retaining walls. It just wouldn't look right. And all of our neighbors agree with us that the way things are right now, they'd love us to go forward with the plans. And those are the letters of support. 2 addresses I have that you don't have. I have 1 Rose Street, and then I have 104 Lyman as well. It's more of a text exchange versus an email versus a signed letter, but that's where we're at.
You're saying you have additional?
Yes, so this
Yeah.
is from
Everything
104.
that you have would be,
And then I also have, this is not in a butter, but this is on Lyman Road further down, and I'm happy to read it, or you can read it yourself, whatever you prefer.
We have that one from
and
one
this
Rose.
fellow who wants to become a Board of Appeals member is your contractor?
My contractor, yes.
Do you still want to become a Board of Appeals member? Okay.
I just moved out of the town, so.
Oh, our loss.
Okay. So we have your application, and is there anything else that you want to explain about your plans to,
I think everything else on the plans, we're not hitting any sidelines, we're not hitting any back lines, front lines. We're still gonna be under the 35 feet regardless of it stays as is or change grades or regardless of that. I'll just open up for questions from the group.
okay, so, and you're building within the existing footprint of the house?
Correct. Not change any foundations or anything like that.
And your, the exterior will remain the same style and materials and color?
It's gonna be vinyl siding versus the cedar shingles.
Okay,
That's the only real difference. Obviously, the second floor,
and the whole house will be, or?
yes, correct. Yeah, we want it to be uniform.
Okay, and the roof asphalt, I mean, the
be
roof
the
is
same-
basically the same as
It'll be the same style roof, asphalt
Same
shingles,
style
same
roof.
color.
Okay, and the people that you have who have expressed their support, do they include the people on both sides of you and the people directly across the
I
street?
have this a little map, so I just kind of put everybody, I noticed the
That's very
300
helpful.
feet out, we didn't go all the way to Rose and some other streets. I put everyone who was in line of sight of our home.
Beautiful.
So everyone there is checked off, has sent us a letter of.
Very, very helpful.
That's really helpful, yeah.
Oh, good, thank you.
Thank you.
And behind us is the golf course, so there's no issue
Right.
behind us.
Therese, do you have any questions of the applicants?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I would, my only question, I would just reiterate, make sure I'm clarifying, so that basically, you could do this as of right if you added fill to your front yard to make this no longer, so that it was so that your base, your first floor started no more than 4 feet
Yeah,
up.
so it's,
But if you did that, it would seriously change the look of your lot, which is probably why your neighbors don't want you to
because
do
it's
it.
not just adding fill, it's gonna come 6 feet up from the house too, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
all like different levels, and there's gonna be retaining walls on the back, and everyone was pretty much aligned that they prefer just, it's already sitting on a hill anyways, we don't want to
Might
be
change the
elevated
way the
either.
rainwater falls
was
off the
some
yard,
concerns
right?
The
about
one,
that too.
Yeah.
the Mahonies to the right of us were concerned about.
Yeah, I totally understand it. So this, to me, seems like one of those situations where complying with the bylaw, literally, you know, it might be worse than the, you know, than the harm of adding, you know, adding the second floor and violating the height restriction in the sense that first floor is that the basement is now counting. I get it, okay. How would that change your, I mean, I'm looking at the picture,
Yes.
and your garage is down here, right? So if you increase the front yard, you've got to, right, you're going to be increased, you would have to increase
We
the
have to
retaining
raise-
wall on that
We'd
side.
have to do the walls on both
which-
sides of the driveway.
When you blow your snow out of there,
It's not a problem for me, but she's only 5 feet tall, so that,
Yeah.
she already has trouble getting up over that hill sometimes.
yeah, yeah. So, okay, that would make egress from the driveway carrying the groceries and stuff.
Yeah, but we have
Up
2
in-
young kids, it's already tight with the 2 cars next to each other,
Yeah.
and just having the walls that much higher would certainly
Yeah, okay,
be a little bit more difficult.
okay. I don't
You
have,
don't want to file fire chief next door either.
Yes. Yeah.
okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, well, so you're looking for a variance. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, why you want to increase the size of your house and what you'll be adding?
Yeah.
Sure, so,
Floor and,
yeah, so we bought the house approximately 6 years ago. When we purchased the house, it was just Megan and I, and since then, we've had 2 young children. We have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we have 2 puppies now. One's more of a dog and one's a puppy. It's a single-floor ranch. It's getting pretty tight as is. We know this is going to be our long-term home. I grew up in Milton. She had family who grew up in Milton. The neighborhood's great. Maya, who's 4, has got about 5 or 6 friends up and down the street she can run around and play with. Brendan's got 2 or 3 kids his age. We love having the golf course in the back. Our neighbors are fantastic, and we just want to continue, you know, building our family and living our life here in Milton.
okay, and what, how many bedrooms do you have now?
We have 3 bedrooms right now.
Okay, and what will you be adding on the second
We'll
floor?
be adding 4 on the second floor.
A 4th bedroom?
Yeah, it'll be 4 bedrooms total upstairs, and we're going to reconfigure the first floor bedrooms to be in like a family room.
Oh, I see, okay. So the first floor will be turned basically into living space? And
Correct.
then the second floor will be bedrooms, okay.
Okay.
Do you have anything more to say in support of the
I have nothing else to add, anything?
application? Let me just make sure I didn't. My copy's in the file. I don't think I made any notes on the plans. Okay, is there anyone in the room who has any questions about the application? Hearing no one, is there anyone in the room who wants to speak in support of the application? Is there anyone in the room who wants to speak in opposition to the application? Okay, hearing no one, and assuming that my colleagues have no further questions, we can close the evidence and vote. would you like to be heard first?
Sure. I would say that I think as I said sort of previously, this is one of those situations where I think the granting of the variance will actually reduce the impact on the neighborhood that literal compliance with the bylaw would require. And the applicants have done an excellent job getting, the consent of many of their neighbors far beyond what we normally see, including the direct abutters. And I think that the application was well presented, and I would tend to grant them approve the relief that they seek.
Okay, thank you. Therese?
I agree. It does appear to be, I can't even imagine trying to raise the grade with the way that the garage is structured. And I think your neighbors have said it best, as have you. And I think it looks like it's a good idea.
Okay, well, I agree with both of my colleagues. You did an excellent job. And now it is time to take a vote. All those in favor of granting the variance from section
5A1.
5A1 of the zoning bylaw for the property at 99 Lyman Road? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous.
Great, thank you.
So congratulations, and we will put their usual conditions that are put in the decision about the construction, substantially conforming with the plans that are here, and if there's going to be anything that deviates in any kind of a way that's not de minimis or non-material, you have to check with Mr. Prondak for doing it. It'll take us a couple or 3 weeks, given the summer, to do a decision, and then the decision will be filed. There'll be a 30-day appeal period, and then after that, you'd be able to. Right. I was going to get. I'm still getting to a couple of months, but that's okay. And then you'll be able to start construction, and as I'm being reminded, construction has to begin within a year of the decision.
Okay.
So no, that's okay. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because I haven't chaired before. Do you have any questions? I mean, Mr. Prondak, will be very helpful, I'm sure, and
No questions at this time.
contractor as well, if you've done.
We already have a permit from Mr. Contact.
Oh, great. Okay. Is the permit for assuming that you're going to do the?
Yes, but we have to give him this, so we're all set. I've already talked to him about it many times.
Okay.
I didn't know the permit would issue before we granted the variance. But
Yeah. No.
That's what's not
Did the
confusing.
permit assume that you were going to change the grade, though?
Correct, yes, correct.
Oh, well, this is going to be, but this is a variance so that you won't have to change the grade. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but he gave us permission to come to this hearing and stuff.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
They have to record it, right? I think we
Yes.
mentioned that already. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. It's gotta
The
be
registry of
fun.
deeds, you take your decision once it's issued and final, and
Right.
make sure it gets recorded and
So
dead.
what action do we need to take at this point? Are we just waiting to hear back further? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be in contact.
Okay.
As soon as whoever takes the
As
decision.
soon as the decision is turned in, it gets filed with the clerk's office.
Great.
Right.
There's
And also,
Appeal period for 20 days, and then once that expires, it becomes final, and then the permit can issue.
Excellent. Okay.
so,
Very good.
congratulations.
Thank you all for the time. I
with
appreciate
your
it.
house.
Well,
you for
again,
your
apologize for the delay,
No
but
worries. I know how it is.
all that ends well.
Yes, it worked out well.
You're the ones who said that you wanted to wait, so that's good.
Yeah.
Worth it not to come back.
Great. Well, thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night.
You too.
All right, so, I don't even know where my file is. I mean, I
More than likely.
can do this decision unless somebody else wants to.
Whenever he wants to adjourn.
I'm not gonna suggest it.
What do you mean?
You want to adjourn?
Oh, yes. The hearing is adjourned.
Perfect. Thank you.